Hello, friends. Welcome to Hot Glue and Bobby Pins, a podcast by cosplayers for cosplayers and anyone who would like an inside look at the lives of people who make costumes, attend conventions, and post about it on the internet. Sometimes we feel like we have it all together, but sometimes we feel like our lives are held together by hot glue and bobby pins. We invite you to come along and experience it all with us. Hi everyone, my name's April and I go by April Gloria on the internet. I'm a cosplayer based out of Wichita, Kansas.
And I am Sophie. I go by OhMySophii online, and I am also out of Wichita, Kansas. What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. Wow, that's really strange. So we just wanted to create this podcast to kind of give everybody sort of a closer up, in-depth look at what our lives are like. I feel like we kind of have a strange sort of life. Being on the internet and making costumes and things like that. And it's really hard to get our points across and like our full ideas by just kind of sound bites, I guess.
Yeah.
So the podcast is kind of a way for us to have full conversations and hopefully and bring up some interesting points and I don't know, just kind of chat a little bit.
It's a way for people to get to know us more intimately and real too. Like, online is quick snippets of our lives, like you said. Whereas This way, you can get to know Sophie and April behind the scenes.
Yes, if you dare. So we're going to just have this first episode to kind of give you, I guess, our origin stories. So kind of how we started going way back, like an actual origin story.
That sounds dark. Yes. Origin story.
Oh my goodness. It's not, So, Sophie, where were you born and raised? I feel like that's important.
Oh, yeah. So I was born and raised in Flintshire, Wales in the United Kingdom. I moved to America when I was 7. And when I moved here, I was fluent in Welsh and not fluent in English, which is crazy to think now because I sound so American.
Yeah. I never would have guessed. Unless you're talking to your parents, I can hear it.
Yeah. Their accents are crazy thick. I don't know how they maintain them. Where were you born, April?
I was born in New Jersey. The southern part of New Jersey, kind of near Philly. And yeah, basically that's about it. I grew up kind of near the boardwalk. I was kind of within a short driving distance of New York, Philly, and the shore. So I kind of had the best of all worlds. And no, I did not know Snooki. She's not even from New Jersey.
I was going to make a Jersey Shore reference, but I refrained.
That's okay. So when you were growing up, was there something that you wanted to be when you grew up?
So when I was like 5 at school back in Wales, they had us draw a picture of what we wanted to be. And everybody drew like doctors and astronauts. And I definitely drew a girl working at a fashion store as a shop clerk. But when I went to school and moved to America and stuff, I had originally started going to college to be an English teacher. And then I realized that that's not for me. What about you?
So when I was younger, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. So I was convinced that I was going to be a paleontologist. That's what I put, or maybe it was I think I switched from paleontologist and archaeologist. It was either one. I didn't care. I just wanted to dig stuff up. But I think I put archaeologist on like one of those things they had at school where you pinned it up on the wall or whatever. And I think I put paleontologist on something else in like first grade or something. And then I don't know. As I got older, I felt like I was too cool for science, of course. So I was like, I want to be a singer. I'm going to grow up and be a singer. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be an actress. So that definitely didn't happen. But in college, I was a graphic design major. So I didn't realize at the time that was like at the boom of graphic design majors, kind of. I didn't realize that meant that I was going to be working at a newspaper for like $15,000 a year. Forever. That's what my teachers told me after I'd already been there for like 3 years. I'm like, oh, that's nice of you to tell me now.
I had so many friends in high school who wanted to go for graphic design, and now none of them are graphic designers. Not even one.
I know a couple, but not very many. So yeah, I definitely didn't do that. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do freelancing for a little bit, but I don't know. Like I wasn't good enough to be like that. Like I was okay at it. I was pretty good, but there were people in my class that were just really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know.
Do you feel like that experience has lended to like building your brand though as a cosplayer?
It kind of gave me like more flexibility in switching gears, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I was like dead set on doing the graphic design, and then I had to kind of have a reality check, and I'm like, well, maybe that's not going to work. I got to think about something else. So I think it worked out in the end. But yeah. So when you were growing up, did you have any favorite fandoms? Like, were you interested in things in the, I don't want to say the nerd realm, but I guess the nerd realm. I don't know.
I was 10,000% obsessed with Pokemon. So Ash Ketchum was my boyfriend.
Oh.
I used to I was an only child, so my whole room was plastered with Pokemon stuff. I had lots of friends, but you're an only child. I got to see them on the weekends if I was lucky, and they were all into Pokemon too. But like our little group, when I say lots of friends, I mean 4. But when you're like 10, that feels like a lot of friends.
That's a mood.
But being an only child, I spent a lot of time alone. So my whole room was Pokemon themed. I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed with Pikachu. I still have a billion Pikachus, but
that's true.
I used to be on those AAML sites. AAML, for those who don't remember, is Ash and Misty's Love. Or I guess not everybody knew what that was. I thought everyone did.
Idea. I didn't know what that was.
They had ones for like Brock and Ash and Brock and Misty, and we would the fandoms would battle each other.
Was it like a forum?
Yeah, it was forum websites. You can get all the art. So I would print out all the artwork of Ash and Misty together. And anytime somebody was like, well, Ash should be with, I'd be like, no, and spend hours online writing fanfics on why that shouldn't happen. So that was my fandom. What about you?
So that was kind of me, except for the romance stuff. I was obsessed with The Lion King when I was younger and going up into my early teen years. But so I was just, I don't know. I mean, obviously I really love cats. I've loved cats since forever. And when The Lion King came out, I was just like, I don't know, just like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like 7 when it came out, I think. And it was just like my instant favorite thing. I was just obsessed with it. I wanted all of the things that went with it. I never got the bed sheets or anything. My mom, she was like, the thread count is too low. They're going to get scratchy. I'm like, but they have Nala on them. But yeah, so I had like the stuffed animals. I had like pencil cases and things like that. And I just drew, I loved to draw when I was younger. So I just drew pictures of them all of the time. Like lions were just like the thing that I drew all the time. And so when I got to be like 12, I figured out that there was a Lion King fan art message board.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, well, there was a fan art website that I uploaded pictures to, and they're still there today. Dare you to find them, except not. But they're not really that bad. But so I made up all these characters and I uploaded the drawings. And then on the forums, I like met all these people and stuff. And I had a very safe experience on the forums, which was really great. Like all the people were kind of close to my age, like teenagers and stuff. And we would like do like role play things. Like my claim to fame on the Lion King fan art message board was I started this like huge like role play thing. And it was just like, you would, if you're not familiar with role play stuff, you would basically like pretend to be like your lion character. And you'd be like, so-and-so like walks up to the water and takes a drink and then sees like, I don't know, like looks at the sun or whatever. I don't know. And then somebody else would hop in with their character and said, so-and-so walks up to so-and-so and then greets them, whatever. And then you would just kind of like go back and forth. It was not sexual. I'm not lying about that. It was not sexual at all. I was a very pure child.
All the like ones I was on when I was younger were pure too. Yeah. Like, I don't know where people find the wild ones.
Like I remember seeing some that like I came across like somebody's story that was like kind of questionable. I was just like, oh, why would they do that to her? That's not good. And so I don't know. I just wanted to draw and make up my stories and talk to the people. I was in another forum there was another forum kind of like that. I think it was a furry forum.
So, a furry forum?
Yeah, so I didn't know what that meant.
Like a Lion King furry one?
I guess the people in it identified as furries, but I didn't really understand what that was, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I was a furry, who knows. But because I did have a fursona, and that's it.
Was it a Lion King fursona?
It was a lion.
That's my favorite.
It was like my original character that I made up, and it was kind of more like I like projected some of myself onto the character, and then I was just like, well, maybe this is because everyone else on the forum had a fursona, so I was like, well, maybe I need one too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's that's the tea.
I
So yeah, that was like, I think I was on it. I like uploaded art to it like up until like maybe 2005, but I wasn't really talking on the forums as much anymore. That was like 13, 14 that I was doing that.
Oh, no shame. When I was 19, me and my friend Mike made a Twilight forum. And we used to role play on that.
Oh my God.
That was my favorite thing ever. And I
That's
always
fun.
got to be Bella.
Oh.
Team Edward.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, so that was the main fandom. Like my second fandom, I guess, would be like Lord of the Rings. I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings when that came out, and like the books and stuff and the movies. But I wasn't on any, like none of the other fandoms had the like forums and stuff. Like I didn't visit. I didn't know that other forums existed, I guess. I don't know. So that's about it.
Fandom life.
Yes, fandom life was very exciting. So you still really, really enjoy Pokemon?
It's still like Pikachu is my favorite thing in the world to this day.
That's
I love
great.
it. And I also still believe that Ash and Misty should be together. I feel very strongly about this. So you were just talking about the forums, in the Pokemon forums, people would make up their own Pokemon characters. And I tried to do it, but I just wanted to be Misty because I wanted to be with Ash and no one else was allowed to be with Ash. So I couldn't make up my own character.
Oh my gosh.
That's how serious I was about it. But
That's
yeah,
so
I
funny.
still love Pokemon. Do you still love Lion King?
I do. I love it. I still love it. Yeah, I haven't watched it in a little bit, but I still really enjoy it. I still try my hand at drawing like lion faces every so often too. I still got it mostly.
You should share some of those. I want to see them.
I'll take a dive and I'll find some of my old fan art. But so did you have any creative hobbies as a child?
So around the same time I moved to America with Pokemon, my best friend Karai used to like stay over all the time, and he was the most phenomenal artist. He still is. He's crazy awesome. But because of him, I started drawing. So from probably about 7 to like 15, I was really big into drawing. And actually, I think I was pretty good at anime style, not so much like real life. And I always wanted to like draw for like Final Fantasy games. Like that was kind of a goal. And then I kind of stopped drawing at some point in high school, but then I started writing, and then my goal was to write for video games. That's then I kind of fell off of that because I found cosplay. But it was kind of this progression from like drawing the characters to writing the characters' lives to nope, I want to be the characters.
Want to be them. That's cool. I didn't know that you used to draw. That's cool.
When I was very little.
Oh, I used to draw as well. My like bio, it's like April's been drawing since, no, that's wrong. Wow, my own bio. It's like April Gloria has been creating ever since she could pick up a crayon or something like that. I don't know. But I used to draw a ton as a child. When I was in kindergarten, my mom told me that apparently I did a homework assignment where I drew a horse and I brought it in, turned it in, and they had to take me to the principal's office and make me draw a horse in front of the principal because they were convinced I was lying about drawing the horse. Like they thought I traced it or had my mom draw it or something. So I don't know. I had like a natural knack for it.
Do you still have that horse? Did your mom save it?
I don't think she did. Oh. I have some drawings from when I was younger though. Like they're good for a child, I guess, but
they're good enough to trick your principal.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, unless she was easily tricked. But I drew that was like my main hobby for a really long time. I drew mostly, it was like, they kind of looked like Disney style characters. Like when I was younger, I only liked animated stuff that was pretty or cute. Like if a cartoon had ugly characters, I didn't want anything to do with it. Like a lot of the shows on like Nickelodeon or like those channels, like I just didn't want to watch them because I thought it was ugly.
Like what was it? Rocket Power? Did you like the way they were drawn? Because that was kind of weird.
I don't remember. Or like All Real Monsters. I didn't like that because they were scary looking. And I was just like, I want something cute or whatever. Like I loved all the Disney princess movies, like basically all the Disney movies that had like animals and like pretty princesses and stuff. So that's kind of like where my art style went. It was like, I still like if I try to draw like a reference for like a costume or whatever, like if I try to draw the face, it'll come out looking like a Disney princess.
That's not a bad skill to have though.
That's true. I could do like Skyrim Disney princess crossover.
My gosh, that's an idea.
Oh my goodness, I'll have to like practice because I'm really bad at drawing like hands and stuff. So
that I never
the eternal struggle.
Hack hands. Like so in high school when I did like my art classes, like I had stopped drawing. And just to be crystal clear, I could only draw anime.
Yeah.
But we started doing like realistic, and I was okay with faces, but like the hands is what did it for me.
Yeah, they're
I was
hard.
like, I don't want to do this. So I admire artists, especially ones who can like do several different forms of arts, like styles.
Yes.
That blows my mind. Like you guys are killer.
It's really admirable. Like my art that I do is like I'm not by no means like at the level that some people are at now. I could probably if I practice, but I spend too much time at my sewing machine.
That's art too.
I know. I also in high school. Well, I guess it started in like middle school. I started wanting to learn how to sing too. Like I was like dead set on learning how to sing, but my like singing doesn't really run in my family. So it was kind of like, well, I don't know if it'll work if, cause I really wanted voice lessons, but, I don't know. My parents, I guess they just thought that it would be pointless because no one in our family could sing. But, so I ended up I was like so determined. I was like, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to learn how to sing, blah, blah, blah. So I took classes I was in choir in high school, and then I took classes in college. But after that, I never really did anything with it except sing in the car. So,
but I've heard you sing, and you can sing like crazy.
Thanks.
Singing does not run in my family either, and I don't attempt. When I was younger, did you ever do that thing where you were home alone, you'd record yourself singing just to see how you sounded?
Oh, yes, I did.
Every time I was devastated.
Oh my gosh, I did it into the phone one time. I sang a Simple Plan song into the phone. Like I would call my own number and then like leave a voicemail.
That's so clever.
And then I would go back and listen to it, but I forgot to delete it one time. And I think I was like 15 or 16 or something like that. And my mom actually found it. And she said it sounded good. And I was just like, see? I didn't say that, but I was just like, I was so embarrassed. But
yeah, hearing myself sing at that age, even now, like.
Yeah, now it's like a little bit better because I'm just like, I want to know how I sound so I can like maybe tweak stuff and sound better. I really want to take lessons. Like next year, I think one of my goals is to take voice lessons so I can actually learn how to do like the breathing and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could sound a lot better if I did the correct techniques and stuff.
I think you should. You kill it at karaoke.
I think that'd be fun. Let's see. Did you do any acting or anything like that?
I always wanted to. So like in high school, I was very, very wildly like insecure and had no self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was good at like feigning it in front of my friends and like being fake confident. But when it came to doing stuff like that, so I like faked myself out to the point where I was like, I'm going to join drama and I'm going to act and it's going to be cool. And then I did it. And I was so like stage fright was crazy. And so I couldn't even practice lines in the classroom with just my class because my stage fright was so bad. So I never got there. That's kind of what's liberating about cosplay is that like not so much like doing any acting, but it gave me confidence I never thought I would have.
Yeah,
just sidebar.
That's true. I thought I was gonna be an actress in high school, but I was not.
Did you do drama?
I did. I came into my school. I was homeschooled for a number of years, and then I came into my school in 11th grade. So I was like, all right, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do like the drama thing or whatever. I didn't realize at the time that basically the parts went to people who had been there longest.
Yeah.
So if you had more experience, then you would get more parts if the teachers knew you, if you'd been there for a really long time. Another thing was I didn't really understand like what they were looking for at the auditions. So one time I went and I didn't get in because I was like shuffling my feet or something. And they said they could tell I was nervous. So I'm just like, oh, okay.
See, it's things like that though that like scared me away from it. Like, I feel like at least in my school, the drama teachers weren't always wonderful at like fostering your confidence. They were quick to point out when you were wrong, and for me, that was like I'm easily shut down.
I cannot learn like that. Like I can't like if you go somewhere and they try and teach you by telling you what you're doing wrong before they even try to tell you what you're supposed to do. I'm just like, wow, okay,
I'm done here now.
Tell me what to do first.
Yeah,
I don't know. So that didn't really go anywhere. I auditioned in college too, and I didn't get anything. I'm not a dancer either. Like I took dance a couple years when I was little, but I don't know. I couldn't do. I don't know. I just wasn't where everybody else was in order to actually do it. So I was just like, whatever. I took some voice classes in college, but that was about it. But so about high school, is there anything like embarrassing that you want to talk about?
Most of my high school career was pretty embarrassing. I think
Same.
for me, yeah, same. I think what I'm most embarrassed about myself when I look back at it is when I got into high school, I got really wrapped up in like, so I went from being like this super nerd, like everything I had was a super nerd, quote unquote. Everything I had was Pokemon. I didn't have a ton of friends. So then when I got into high school, I was so determined to be like a cool kid that I boxed up all my Pokemon stuff, all of my video games. I made my parents redecorate my whole room this beach theme because Target had the whole like set on sale. And I went into high school, and for like the first 2-3 years of high school, mostly, I wasn't like being true to myself, and I didn't know that. But I was trying to be like this. I like to go to football games, and I did like that stuff, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I finally grew up a little bit and realized it's okay to like the things you love, and if people tease you for that, that's on them, which you don't understand as a teenager. No. But looking back, I'm a little bit embarrassed that I like tried so hard to be somebody I absolutely was not.
I think we all tried really hard in high school.
Yeah, try hard. What about you?
Oh boy. So I guess kind of the same. I don't know. I look back and I'm really embarrassed by a lot of like how I treated people. Like I had really good friends in high school. But like I was also kind of, I don't know, like I could be really like snippy to people. And even if they were my friend, I don't know what it was, but that's looking back on that's kind of embarrassing. And also, I don't know, like with guys, like I really wanted a boyfriend and I really wanted to have like guy friends and stuff. But then if it got like too close, or if like I would be dating somebody, I would get like really nervous of like physical contact, I guess. And I would want like everything but that. So I would just like shy away from it, and they wouldn't know what was wrong. And I didn't tell them or anything. They just thought I didn't want to touch them. So I feel really bad. So that's pretty embarrassing, I guess. I don't know. It just wasn't, part of it was that I wasn't really interested in giving that much of myself to somebody. And part of it was I grew up in a really more Christian upbringing. And upbringing? Wow, what's that? A Christian upbringing. And they really stressed like saving yourself for marriage and things like that. So that kind of like spooked me a little bit for that. It was kind of like a mix between the two. So looking back on that, I'm just like, man, I should have at least just like not dated people or just told them what was going on. Like, how hard is it to just tell somebody what's going on? But when you're 17, like you're just so inside of yourself that you just, I don't know, you just kind of shut down, I guess.
I dated like the same guy, like basically from like halfway through my freshman year until way after we graduated. And looking back, like, I'm just like, I should have, like, people would tell me like, you need to be single, you're in high school and you're a kid.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, why? You don't know. And now I'm like, they were probably right. Like,
oh man,
it's not an embarrassing thing, but it's just like those mistakes you make that you look back and you're like, people told me to do this thing. And I was like, I know everything. I'm 15.
Right. They're just like, you can't tell me what to do. It's not a phase.
Is it a phase, Mom?
Yes, it is. All right. So that brings us into, when was your first time hearing about like the term cosplay? Like, when did you actually hear about that?
The first time I heard the term cosplay, actually, I didn't hear it until I was like 16 or 17. I heard it on G4, Attack of the Show. They were doing their big San Diego Comic-Con show. Oh. And so I had never even heard of it before that. And then, you know, because I detached myself, that's actually kind of what started making me realize like I wasn't being Sophie at school, you know, because I was watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. I love this so much. However, I was under the impression it only ever happened in California, but that was like my first like introduction to it was like on TV. So my first like reaction to it was just like, California's so cool. They have cosplay.
That's cool.
What about you?
So I was in college by the time I heard a bit of it. And it was a friend who was telling us that he was going to, I think it was Anime Boston. And he was like, I'm going to Anime Boston and I'm going to cosplay Rorschach from Watchmen. And I'm just like, cosplay? What is that? And I was kind of like thrown off by the term. Like I was like, the word play throws a lot of people off.
Yeah.
A lot of the muggles don't like the word play in that term. The muggles. But, and myself included, I was just like, oh, that sounds a little weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say, oh, it sounds like a sex thing. But it was kind of like, I don't know, the word, like if you've never heard it before, hearing the word cosplay just kind of, I don't know, you just don't know what to think of it. And so I'm just like, what is that? And he's like, basically you just wear a costume to this convention. Basically, it's like dressing up when it's not Halloween. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. But I loved Halloween. So I don't know why I was kind of like had an adverse reaction to people dressing up when it was not Halloween. But like in college, like I would basically try and find parties to go to, even if I didn't really know the people involved or if I didn't really want to go. I just wanted an excuse to like go to Goodwill and piece together another costume. So I loved Halloween. I loved dressing up, but that was kind of like the first introduction to cosplay. I didn't really think about it at all like after that until that was what, like 2008 or something like that. And I didn't think about it at all until like 2012, 13, which was really weird. It was just like a thing that I like, it kind of like went down and then it like bubbled to the surface back in 2013.
It's kind of the same though, because I saw it on TV at that age. And then I didn't think, because like I said, I thought it was just in California. So I didn't hear about it again. And then until Sissa, our friend Sissa, invited me to A-Kon in 2010, I want to say. I think I always say the wrong year. I think it was 2010.
Something like that, yeah.
So it was like a couple years later, I was just like, what, cosplay?
So when you saw all the like costumes and stuff, did you think about like that you wanted to, or like, what did you think about making first? Like, did you have a costume in mind that you really wanted to make first, but then just didn't?
It actually, so like when I saw it on TV on G4, no one said on that show that people had made their own costumes. So it never crossed my mind. And then we went to A-Kon. No one had told me leading up, like Sissa had shown me where I could buy a costume online. So we get there and people are in these big, like elaborate builds and stuff. And it took a little bit for me to realize that people were making these because I remember searching for a warrior Riku from Final Fantasy X online and I couldn't find this costume. And so I messaged this lovely girl, Meg Era. I believe she's voice acting now, that I had met while I was there. And I was like, hey, where did you get your warrior Riku? And she was like, I made it. And I was like, you what? Like, you can't make these things. And so like that blew my mind. And there was like a full year of me just like thinking about it while I was working at, I think like Olive Garden, and just I'd be like walking around serving tables in my head like, how do you do that? Like,
so funny.
Until then, I had never like sewed anything more than like a pillowcase together.
Yeah.
So it just completely like blew. What about you? Was there something you saw that made you go, I have to do that? Or how did you find out that people made them? Did you know that initially?
I think I ended up like researching it because that when I first kind of thought about actually like making it or doing a costume or whatever, that was a couple years after. So I think cosplay was kind of starting to come up. It was 2013-ish. And so basically I got my hair cut. I had dark brown hair. I have like blondish, brownish, sandy colored hair right now, but I had really dark hair and I cut it into like a bob. And the BioShock Infinite game just came out and the protagonist, well, I guess no, the protagonist's daughter is Elizabeth, and she has that same hair color, same haircut, same like eye color. And I had a couple people tell me, they were like, oh, your hair kind of looks like that girl from that game that just came out or whatever. Maybe it was 2000. I don't remember. Was it 2013 that game came out? I don't remember. But whenever that was, they were like, they started comparing my hair to hers. And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. And they were like, you should like cosplay as her or something. And I'm just like, there's that word again. So
cosplay.
Yeah. So I kind of just started, I played the game. I bought the game and played it. And I was like, well, maybe if I really love the game and stuff, maybe I'll kind of, try and put together some kind of costume. And there was a convention coming up. I lived in Michigan at the time. And there was a convention and it was a couple months away. So I was like, well, I'll put together a costume and I'll see if I enjoy it, just to kind of like throw that out there, try something new. And so I ordered stuff from like eBay. I think I ended up commissioning somebody from Etsy to make like her little jacket thing, because I didn't own a sewing machine at that time. And like I kind of knew I knew like sewing basics. I knew how to do pillowcases. And my sister and I used to make like little like stuffed like plush animals and little dolls and stuff when we were kids. So that was a lot of mostly hand sewing, but I did know how to like basically work a machine. So I was like, I didn't want to like invest like a ton of money or whatever if I didn't know that I would like the hobby.
Yeah.
So I threw together the costume. I used my real hair because I was like, hey, I've already got her hair color. Why do I need a wig? So I rocked the natural hair. And I went to this convention in Michigan called Motor City Comic Con. That's what it was. And I don't know, I just went in and I had a really good time. I was like blown away that people said that they liked my costume. I was just like, oh, that's really odd.
It's
like,
the
people are
feeling.
randomly coming up and saying, I love your costume or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I didn't like know how to, obviously I'm not going to like, I don't know. I just didn't know how to react beyond like, oh my goodness. Oh, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. It was really, really cool experience.
I think that's one of the things that we as a community, I was going to say this about something earlier, but there's certain things that we get so used to that it doesn't seem weird to us. And I think that's one of them. Because if you think about the first time you like stepped onto that convention floor in cosplay and people asked for photos, you were just like, what is happening?
Yeah, you're just like,
why?
Oh my gosh, me? What? Why? Like sometimes things will happen still and I'm just like, why? Like why?
Yeah.
Why even? But it is, you got to kind of keep yourself grounded. And it's because, I don't know, I feel like some people might get used to it too much.
Yes,
and
I do think
you don't want to turn into that person who's just like, ugh, yeah, you know,
another photo.
Oh, these people on their cameras. That only happens on Sunday at the end of the con.
I think the perk of being kind of used to it is better posing. Like now if someone's like, can I grab a photo? I'm like, yes, I am ready.
Yes, you just like automatically pose. You don't have like a paparazzi looking photo. I mean, unless they just kind of do a drive-by, because that happens too.
Oh,
but that's fun. That's fun.
Con floor photos. That's a whole podcast episode by itself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So after you like started, after that one convention, did you immediately try to make or like put together other costumes?
So after the first ACON, I had bought, what did I buy for that? I can't remember. Oh no, I took an old Halloween costume I had. So then the next year I just bought a costume because I was still too like afraid to make my own. And that was a Wonder Woman. I did pay. So it was an Animecon Wonder Woman costume, but the armor came and it was like unpainted. So I did like fix it up and I felt so good about that. It was awesome. Nice. But and then the next year, there was about 2 or 3 years of like where I just, because I only, like you were saying, like it didn't click in my head that people did it year round. So like I still didn't have the full picture. Mm-hmm. So it was like I had Halloween and I also had ACON weekend. So I would buy a costume for that. And I think the last costume I ever bought for ACON was Lady Deadpool. And when I came back to Wichita, a local magazine called Team View had contacted me and asked me to come on and talk about cosplay. And that's the first time anybody had ever asked me to do anything like that. And I remember leaving that interview and they had asked me about the costume I was wearing and they were like, how did you make this? And I was like, oh, I didn't. I bought it. But when I left, I just remember being like, that's it. I have to make costumes. Oh. Like I want to be able to say, yes, I made this.
That's a good feeling.
It is.
It's a really good feeling.
It is.
After that one convention, when I was walking around as Elizabeth, after that, I kind of decided that that's kind of a thing that I wanted to do.
It grabs you.
It does. The next one that I did was an Ayla the Huntress costume, which I still didn't have a sewing machine, so I hand sewed it and did. The armor was like that Pepakura. Do you remember that?
Oh,
it's like,
that's so...
like the paper folding stuff. Yeah. Basically, if you're not familiar, Pepakura was it's a program where you can like unfold or buy files that are unfolded 3D files for like armor pieces, but they're really like polygon-y.
Yeah.
When you fold them together and you have to like glue them together with glue, print it out cardstock and all that stuff.
It's very tedious.
It's so tedious. And then you have to like brush it with resin, like auto resin, and then put Bondo on it and sand it for like the next century or so. And then maybe it'll be smooth. Maybe it won't be. And it's really heavy. So I kind of learned there wasn't a lot of resources back then.
No, it was
not
so
a ton
different.
Of tutorials. So I was just like, oh, here's a thing that somebody did with something. So I guess I'll do that. I don't know. So when did you start thinking about making a public page for your costumes?
It was right after that Team View interview that just like, because I loved ACON so much. I used to, it sounds crazy, April knows this, but I would like cry when I left there because it was like, cosplay was like my special place. But I only got to do it that one time a year. And that's kind of when I realized, wow, there's lots of different conventions. This thing is a thing. And I was like, I want to do this all the time, always. And so I decided to make a public page just for fun. And it was just Sophie Cosplay. I think that was late 2014.
Yeah.
Roughly. And it was just all photos of Deadpool because that's all I had. And I had a Catwoman and I had made the mask myself and I was so proud. Oh. It was all over there like my mask tutorial, but it's still on there. If you go back through OhMySophii, you can go back through when I was Ultra Girls Cosplay all the way back to Sophie Cosplay. It's like my origin story is there.
It's like a photo documentary.
Yeah. I was going to delete it and then I was like, nah.
Yeah, because then one day you might want to look back on it.
Yeah.
I think I've deleted a few things from my Facebook I don't know.
When did you start yours?
So I started mine, let's see, I did that convention, I think in April or so. And then I think I started my page in June or July of that year.
Yeah.
I had an Instagram because I got my first smartphone that year. So I was like, the first thing I did was download Instagram because I'm like, I love photos. So I just like posted my convention pictures on there. And these people were like asking me if I had a page and stuff. And I'm just like, what the heck? What is that? So I don't know. I went on Facebook, and I think the first couple pages that I found were Nicole Marie Jean and Destiny Nicholson. Those are the first cosplayers that I followed. And Zombie Bit Me, who she changed her name to Zombaby.
Yeah.
I found those three were like my first cosplayers that I found. So I'm like, oh, this is like a thing that people do. And then, I found actually kind of what started I don't know, finalized it or whatever.
Yeah.
I entered a picture of my Elizabeth in a cosplayer named Living Ichigo. He had a contest for, I don't remember what it was for, but like cosplayers submitted their photos and stuff. So I like submitted my photo, and it was in like this album. And I saw people commenting. They were like, wow, you're so beautiful. And I was just like, what? Me? Oh no. So it was just like a really, I don't know, it's just like, wow, people really want to see the thing. Like,
were they asking like for your page?
I don't remember exactly, but I feel like they might have. I know they were asking on Instagram, but I don't know, having like a really good reception. I didn't win the contest. I don't think I won the contest, but just having like people kind of tell me that they were interested was just like, man, maybe I should just kind of make a thing and put my stuff on there in case anyone else wants to look at it. Yeah. So I used April Gloria, my first and middle name, because I didn't want my last name. My last name is very unique and Italian. So I'm like, I don't know if I want that being out there, because it would be really easy to find me if they knew what my last name was. So I just did first and middle name, make it real easy. Just funny because I hated my middle name growing up. I was named after my great aunt Gloria. And I was like, all growing up, I was like, that's an old lady name. Why would you give me an old lady name? And now I'm just like, oh, I kind of like it. It's cool.
I love it. Gloria.
Yeah.
That on the pages real quick too. So the only cosplay thing I was in online was the Akon cosplay group. And one day I got on there and somebody had started like a thread, just like, anybody got cosplay pages? Because I guess people had like just started making.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of sparked
like,
me. I just remember being like, a what? And I followed all these cosplayers, and it was like exciting because I was like, I just saw them last weekend at the show. And for me, that was just like,
yeah.
wild.
I feel like 2013, 14 was like the boom of the cosplay pages.
I came in right at the end of that because when I first started my page, I feel like I had a really like wild boom that gave me a misconception of where it was going at that time. Yeah. So like you had your page before mine. How soon did you have to start dealing with the internet?
Oh.
Like the bad side, the dark side of the internet.
Oh boy. After I debuted Ayla the Huntress, that was at a convention in September. I got shared by the Bethesda page or the Elder Scrolls page. I don't remember which one.
That's the first time I saw you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. So I was very, very excited. I got like a bunch of new people on my page. But that's when I first got introduced to the gaming community on Facebook. And with that came a lot of like really mean guys that just wanted to tell me how awful I was and how I needed to go to the gym and how I was awful because I didn't make my armor out of metal with my forge that I have in my backyard.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. So I remember crying at those comments, like, because I'm a naturally very sensitive person. I always joke with my husband, Casey, that this is the wrong job for me because I'm too sensitive. My skin's not thick enough. It's way thicker than it was, though, like I have to say. But back then I was just like so distraught that somebody would say something like that to me. Like I've been called every name in the book since then. So I don't know. It just really, really bothered me that there were people like that out there. I couldn't understand why anybody would just do that. Like I just didn't enter my mind. So it was pretty fast, sometime in 2013, I think, maybe late 2013. And it's been going strong ever since.
I feel like I was very fortunate. I think that's where my misconception came in because like initially, like a lot of the people on my page were just very nice, just nice comments. And then one day about a year in when I was really rolling, I was like, felt like I was, getting really good. And then my page got discovered by a bunch of people who had very strong opinions about a lot of things, including my looks and my weight and my hair. And I've always been super insecure about my curly hair. But like I put up a selfie, my first one ever on my cosplay page with curly hair because I was trying to like accept it more. And the first thing I got is just like, oh, you look better with straight hair. You look ugly. And people wonder why I hate my curly hair so much.
The internet has a way of like knowing what your insecurities are.
Zoning in.
Like they can read your mind. It's
like, how do you know?
I know. Oh,
like people would always mention my hips. Like I've always had a thing about having wide hips, and people would always be like, "Oh, you got childbearing hips." And I'm like, no,
get out of here! Yikes! I did. Oh, okay. So I posted to Imgur once.
Oh, Imgur.
Just once. That was enough. I posted my Instagram photos of my Elizabeth, and people like they just were like rape jokes. So
what?
Oh yeah, this guy was like, rape is all that comes to mind, and I'm just like,
that's disgusting.
It's a picture of my face. You were horrendous.
Imgur is gross. For a little while, I just didn't care, and I was posting things anyway. And then I stopped. I deleted the app off my phone because I just got tired of it. Because it's like they're just looking for something to be really hateful about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just didn't. I refused. Like I don't post my stuff anywhere that I can't regulate the comments. Or that doesn't really have comments. Like Pinterest doesn't really I don't really look. DeviantArt, I disable all the comments, and then I get people on my main page, why did you disable comments? Because I don't want to read them.
But I still post on Reddit.
Yeah.
At least when they're mean on Reddit, they're creative. Like the guy who said I looked like Papa John when I was gym leader Sabrina. Like I thought that was creative.
That's loads of fun. I don't know. I don't post on Reddit, so I'm still afraid of Reddit.
I've been very pleasantly surprised. Other than that one, and maybe it's because when I was posting on Imgur, I was posting on Reddit as well. Okay. So the contrast made Reddit seem so soft.
Yeah.
So I think now I'm desensitized to Reddit thanks to Imgur.
Well, I hear that different subreddits are different too. Like if the cosplay ones are different than the fandom ones. I would never post on the gaming one ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I feel like that can get real wild. I'm trying to think which one. The Kingdom Hearts one was very lovely about my dark mode Riku. I was very happy with that. I think it was when I did the gender bend Deku, a lot of people on Reddit were really mad about my freckles not being the right size. And then there was a selfie on my profile where I didn't have the freckles on yet because it was before I was going to a show.
Yeah.
And people were like, Deku has freckles. I was oh my God, I know, I'm sorry.
Wow, the world's ending. Yeah. Holy crap.
Deku better have his freckles.
That's crazy. I feel like, people end up posting my pictures on Reddit anyway. I think I don't look, but sometimes Casey would look. And somebody posted my Mule the Lioness ones that we took in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of those because we drove to Colorado. We were in Rocky Mountain National Park, and we have this dramatic scenery. And all these people were just arguing over whether they thought it was a composite or not. They're like, this is so fake. This is a green screen. I'm just like, no, it's not. Oh my gosh.
I've had people argue that when we did our Widowmaker and Mercy in Belize, the individuals of me, because I have the contrast up really high because I like to be bright. I get people all the time. It's that's a green screen. I'm like, do you want to see photos of me on vacation, ma'am?
Yeah, let's see a before and after.
I promise I'm not lying. Don't lie about things on the internet. People will find out. Why am I going to lie?
And if you don't lie, they'll accuse you of lying anyway.
Yeah. So why not lie?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Internet. We have a lot of feelings about the internet.
Feels.
Ugh. So let's move on to something a little more positive. Monetizing. Yay.
Yeah.
To some people, that's still a negative.
I think that's a discussion in itself, too.
That is definitely a discussion. So when did you decide that you wanted to try making money, or what did you try and do first to try and make money with cosplay?
So I was kind of, I feel in a fortunate position because when I first started making my costumes, dabbling in making, there was a local group called Ishiko Comics, and from the get-go, they would have booths at conventions, and they were looking for cosplayers to come and work for them. At the time, it was literally just a pass and $25, but in my mind, it was monetization. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that I was, doing 12 hours a day.
Which is another subject.
Another episode entirely.
Hours.
I am excited for that one. But actually monetizing, it'll be 3 years next August that I started my Patreon. And that's when I really got serious. Before that, I was selling prints, but it was fun money. I'd sell the prints and I would go and spend it. I never took care of my finances or thought of it in terms of a business. It was just play money. Mm-hmm. So I really got serious about it. 2.5 years ago, I guess it was. I'd watched other people do patrons and kind of watched what they did and just took my time to decide if that's something I wanted to do. And I think we should do a whole episode also on patron as a whole.
Yes,
because
that'd be really good.
That's like a full-time job in itself. And I wasn't prepared for that initially. So my monetization was very rocky. It took me about a full year to get like steady. But I had already quit my full-time job. So I had to make it work.
My gosh, doing it the
I like to learn trial by fire.
high pressure. Wow.
Yeah.
But you know,
I think that's what makes us yin and yang.
We're very different.
Yeah.
Sophie's very like fly by the seat of her pants, very high pressure. And I'm just like, I got to plan my every step before I do anything.
We're like little yin yang cats.
Yeah, it's true. But so when I first started, like, I mean, obviously when I started following cosplayers, I saw that they were selling prints and stuff. I'm like, oh, prints, cool. So I didn't have very many like photographers in my area. I had one friend that I would do some photos with. And then Casey, my husband, and I decided that we wanted to try doing our own photos because I already had a DSLR camera. So we kind of played around with it when we ended up going to Tennessee and taking my Ayla the Huntress costume, that original one, and doing some photos in Cades Cove in front of a lot of people that were driving their cars very slowly past us, which was horrifying. But we did it. And we kind of people started asking for prints too. Like when I started getting the momentum on my cosplay page, people started asking when I was going to start selling prints and stuff. So I don't remember when exactly it was. I think it might have been 2014 when I started doing the print store. And the way I do mine is I do pre-orders. So I have my store open for about like a week or 2 weeks, and then I just order everything. And so that's what I did for a couple years. And it was like I was still working a full-time job. I was working in a factory making custom blinds for windows. I was like running machines and like punching the holes in the slats and all that stuff. And so I was doing that full-time and making costumes like on my free time and stuff. And then we moved to Kansas and I didn't have a job yet. So I just did costumes for a little bit, still just doing prints or whatever, trying to make money from prints. I also, like, my husband has a good job that provides for us, which I'm very thankful for, very privileged to have that, which is great. So I was able to kind of use the print money to buy like my costuming supplies and things like that. And while not having, to like fully support myself, which was, I'm definitely thankful for that. But I really wanted to start like actually making an income for myself. So I didn't have to, rely on that. I did end up getting another full-time job in an automotive factory. I ran a machine that bottled, automotive fluids and stuff. And so I worked that for a couple years. And when I first got that job, I think it was, when was that? 2016? I don't remember when that was. I think
that was right after we met.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I think
16.
we met. It was 2015. So 2015, I started working at the factory, and I was just like saving money. I was trying to pay off my student loans because, student loans are great.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working on that, but also trying to make costumes. I didn't make very many that year. 2016, like I worked that full year. And then I started planning on launching my Patreon the next year because I had seen a lot of friends start them. And I'm just like, do I really want to do that? I don't know. I was like, well, if I do that, maybe I could eventually quit my job and just do this full time. So in February of 2017, I launched that, and I was working full time and doing cosplay for Patreon and streaming at the same time. And I did that I think I worked there for about a year. I think it was 2017 in the summer that I ended up leaving that job and doing the cosplay Patreon thing full time. So yeah.
The timeline sounds great.
It was a ride.
Yeah. I actually tried to go full-time twice with cosplay. One time was because, again, I like dive into things. So I quit my full-time job at T-Mobile in like 2015 because I had started getting like guest gigs, and I thought selling prints would be all the income you need.
Right.
So I just quit my job, went into it. Nope. So then I got hired in the tech and the marketing department at Cybertron PC. And yeah, I was there for about a year before I was like, bye.
It's just like, it's a lot to try and like juggle both businesses because the Patreon thing is a job.
Yeah, it's a full-time job by itself.
Yeah. So it just got to where it was just too much. And I was making roughly the same amount of money that I was making at the factory through Patreon. And I paid off my student loans. So that was very exciting. So yeah, that's kind of all that kind of stuff. How are you enjoying not having a day job, like a air quotes day job?
Air quotes. I have really enjoyed it. Like for me, it's been a balance between like print sales, guest appearances, and like Patreon for so long. But even so, because money and finances are important, I enjoy that. But I have taken a social media marketing position with Midwest Esports where I'm their social media specialist, and I mostly work remote. I do like a day or two in the office each week, and that's a salary, and that's kind of really nice because before, like I was doing like able to sustain myself and I was putting money away in cosplay, but you have good months and bad months.
Yes.
Like it's just the way it is. It's, ebb and flow. So for me now, I'm enjoying it so much more now that I have this base salary, and I'm fortunate enough to have a skill that allows me to do that. And also I have a husband that works full time and provides for us also. So I've been very privileged and fortunate. But I'm actually would say I thought that taking that job with Midwest Esports would take away from my I'm a full-time creator,
Yeah.
But it really hasn't. It's enabled me, I feel like, to be like a better full-time creator because I'm not always stressing. It gets to the point sometimes where you're more stressed about the money than the costumes you're making. And that takes the fun out of it. So to be able to like take a step back and be like, even if we have a low month, like around the holidays, things usually get a bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
There's not as many guest appearances and print sales. Like that's cool. That feels good now. So I think that the point I want to make there is like, there's no shame in having other avenues of income. The more avenues of income you have, the better.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. I think I was thinking about it recently, and sometimes I do kind of wish that I could have like a part-time gig, kind of like what you have. I almost had one, but it didn't work out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I think this year, instead of trying that, I'm going to try to just go extra hard with things like within my like creative realm or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm switching up all my Patreon tiers, and I'm just going to try a bunch of other stuff to see if I can just kind of keep building the income.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I love not having to kind of answer to anybody else. I've always kind of had issues. Like I would never like outwardly defy my managers and stuff. I don't know. I just didn't like people telling me what to do.
Me too.
I was like, I'm one of those people where if you tell me to do a certain thing, just leave me alone and let me do it, and I'll do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like my job at the automotive factory was great because it was, I was the machine operator. It was my machine. I ran it. I had people that were helping me, but like I just kept the machine running all day. And it was a good job. Like it was hard work, and it got real hot in the summertime, and the machine broke and I didn't always know how to fix it. So I had to call maintenance over a lot, but I don't know. It was a really good job. So basically, I don't know, I guess cosplay is kind of similar in that I just don't have to really, I still have to answer to somebody at that job or whatever, but I like the independence. I like being able to like wake up when I want, but I'm at the point now where I'm just like, I need to wake up earlier. So I'm working on the self-discipline area. It's so tempting to just like sleep all day or like sleep till like 9 or something like that.
Doing social media stuff for Midwest Esports has helped me with that a lot because I got into, you're working for yourself at home. I got into a routine where it's like I can wake up whenever I want and go to bed whenever I want as long as I get X amount of hours in cosplay done.
Yep.
But then my schedule was really wild. Whereas even though like I'm remote, I like to be up nice and early when they're all in the office. So if they need me for something, I'm there if I get like the text or the call or whatever to put up a post or whatever it is. And so that's enabled me to get more done in my cosplay business, like my personal business, because now I'm awake at normal people hours.
True. Casey used to travel all the time for work. So I would be basically alone during the weekdays. And so my best creative hours happen in the evenings, I guess.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Like 4:00 onward, I would just be like, oh, now my brain has turned on and it's ready to go.
Yep.
So I don't know. I got into a habit of just like working out during the day and just like going shopping or just like hanging out around the house or whatever, like walking around outside. And I wouldn't work on costumes until like dinner time.
Yeah.
So, and then I wouldn't wake up until pretty late. My body used to wake me up at like 10 o'clock. I think that was like my perfect wake up time. But I've had to like over the years train myself to, I don't know, just like readjust. So now I wake up at like 7.
See, I still am not there. I tried for years, I was waking up at like 2 or 3 p.m. Like I was like up all night, sleeping all day.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes you like depressed. That's one of the reasons too. I was like, nah.
Oh,
Because you don't get as much daylight in the winter.
it's true.
So now
Yeah.
I wake up at like 9, but I'm trying to get to 7 because I'm like, imagine what I could do if I was awake at 7 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, that's kind of like I started with like 8:30 and then I was like, okay, I got to wake up at 8. And now I'm just like, okay, how about 7:30? And now like actually the 7 hadn't really happened until we started getting work done on our house, like for our basement, because I had to be like, get up, get ready, get like the cats all fed and stuff and like let the dogs out. And until or like before the guy comes over. So I'm like, I got to get up at 7 so I have actual time. So now it like forces me to get up early. So it's not a bad thing.
I need that. I need someone to come in at 7 and be like, Sophie, get up.
So has your like perception on cosplay changed from like before you started versus when you like were just doing it as a hobby versus now?
Oh yeah, I definitely would say I have way more respect for the actual craft. So like when I was doing it for a hobby, I was like buying costumes and I kind of started making them. And then I feel like I got opportunities to like monetize before I was emotionally and mentally ready. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I got these opportunities, but I saw it as like it was all fun and it is all fun and games for sure. But when you get those like gigs, a professional appearance or whatever, you should take that seriously and be a professional. And at the time, my mind just wasn't there. So I was like I would show up late or at one point, not even at all on one day because I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as this just like, oh, it's like fun and party and look how cool. Whereas once I was very fortunate enough to have people around me to be like, hey, you're so lucky to even have these opportunities. You should take them seriously or else. And I did. And I kind of like made myself be more professional and started working harder on the craft. The biggest thing is like respect for the craft. Like I just remember there being a time where like something clicked in my head and I was just like, this is so wonderful and I am so fortunate and I have so much to learn that like I need to get it together. And so I look at it differently now, like I guess with more respect and less of like party happy time, you know?
Yeah. Well, especially as you get into like the paid gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if they're paying you, you're just like, man, I gotta work.
Yeah. And that was, so the first few like gigs I had weren't paid because that's, you know, I mean, it still happens now, but like I didn't know
That's
any better.
That's a whole other subject.
Yeah, that's another episode. But like the first time someone like offered me money to be a guest and do panels, that was actually the first show that I just didn't show up on the Sunday. It still hadn't like clicked in my head like that. And like I said, I had friends who sat me down and were like, hey, here's what's happening. Here's what you should do. And I think that that should be a whole like episode as well, is discussing like how to guest properly.
Yeah, like the professionalism aspect of it.
Because I feel like that's something most new cosplayers in that realm don't know. Like I certainly didn't know. Like I just thought it was a big party.
But yeah, because there's no handbook for it.
No.
And you just kind of have to stumble around and figure it out yourself.
Yeah. But I feel like if you make a misstep, that can ruin your, like, I'm fortunate that the convention that I just dipped out on, that I did apologize to them afterwards, but I'm fortunate they were so understanding because what would have stopped them from when they saw me announced of it elsewhere from
like she just doesn't show up.
Yeah. And they would have been right to do that. It's a reference.
Right. Like I know of people that do that.
That do.
You do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So for me, the difference is I just take it so much more serious now. Like I still have fun, but like I just see it as this thing I should put fun into, but also professionalism and respect, I guess. Like, what about you?
Let's see. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, I definitely take the guesting jobs more seriously now. I don't stay out late or anything like that. I feel like I just need to be at 100% at all times. Like if I'm going to be at a booth for 12 hours a day, I am a classic introvert. So my battery, it runs out by the end of the day. And I just have to be like in tip top shape in order to like give my all at the booth every day. So I definitely, I learned, I'm just like, you can't like stay out till 3 a.m. If you're going to, I mean, some people, maybe they can, but I mean, I know some people can, but
more
I cannot.
power to you. I cannot.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, I guess going from not even knowing what it is, like I just didn't, like before I started, I just didn't really have an opinion on it. I never would have guessed that you could make a living doing it.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like a thing.
No. And then doing it as a hobby, I guess, I don't know. I was kind of like, oh, that would be really cool to be able to do that or whatever. But I don't know. I guess it just kind of, I guess it's hard to explain, but it's
Yeah.
definitely changed. Like I feel like I have a more well-rounded view of being, like it was an interesting learning experience being self-employed in general.
Oh, I've grown so much from cosplay. Like as a person, like if it wasn't for cosplay, especially in this capacity, I think I would be a different human. Like,
Yeah, me too.
In so many good ways, it is like, it's done so much good for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like going back to like my upbringing and stuff, back then in that time period, it was like the height of what they call purity culture.
Mhm.
If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's quite interesting. And so we were basically encouraged to slut shame back then. And because you had to keep yourself pure for the man that you were going to marry someday. And you had to be modest, or else the guys were going to look at you and like they shouldn't be looking at you. Like it's your responsibility.
You're unclean.
Yeah. It's like, it was like put on the girls to be responsible for what the guys were thinking about the girls. Like it's really bizarre if you didn't grow up in the culture, but I definitely suggest looking it up and kind of seeing what it was about. But anyway, they basically I don't know if they meant to do this or not, but it ended up making the girls kind of look down upon other girls who dressed more revealing than they did. So I had a kind of an unhealthy view of other women before I started cosplay. So I do have to say that cosplay has like turned a 180. Like that mindset is just nowhere to be found now. Like I was like, I would never be caught dead, like putting pictures of myself online or whatever and like revealing stuff. But then here I am.
And now
here I am doing like the modeling thing on Patreon. So, and I have nothing but respect for, I don't know, all women.
Yeah.
Like I just can't, it's just like awful to think that I would ever like, I don't know, not want someone to do what they thought. Like, it's kind of like, why would you be upset about somebody doing something that they want to do that doesn't affect you? That's kind of like it was like a turning point, I guess, realizing that. I'm just like, why are we telling these women what they can't do with their own selves? And I don't know, like it's just nowadays, it doesn't even seem like something that would ever enter my brain. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
So that's been really good. And it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like I feel weird admitting that, I guess, but I feel like a lot of women my age that grew up during that era, they kind of got brainwashed in a way. It's like, I don't know, they just tell you that over and over again, like you need to be modest. People that aren't modest aren't being good or whatever. So you're just like, oh, being modest is good. Being not modest is bad. And you just project that onto other people and it's really unhealthy. So
I also wonder if like it's like fostering insecurity as well.
Yeah,
because,
it does.
Like,
because I don't know, like I also, like I was thinking those things. I was like, oh, all these other girls, blah, blah. But then I would wear shirts with cleavage on them.
On them. Drawn on.
like those t-shirts with the bikini drawn on them.
Yes. I need one.
You get at the boardwalk. But yeah, so it was like this really weird mental state. It was like massive insecurity in myself. I would get very jealous of like Casey looking at other beautiful women. And I would barely even acknowledge other women being beautiful. Like it was bad. It was really
no,
bad.
She's ugly.
I'm just like, she can't be beautiful. What about me?
Only one of us.
Supposed to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was really odd and it was just really bad.
Even without like I don't have like a religious upbringing, but I was the same way. So like I still have this memory in my head of Sam, who is now my husband. I took him to his first ACON, which was my second ACON, and we were dressed as Team Rocket. And I remember we were standing in line for the passes at the Sheraton. The line was crazy long. And there was this beautiful girl dressed as Pikachu 2 lines over. And I saw Sam look at her and my whole world just like crumbled. I just remember being like, oh, you want to be with her then? And then that clicked something in my head. And I had like now looking back, it was insecurity. But at that time in 2011, it made me like violently jealous in my head.
Yeah.
Like it would spiral me to see attractive women in cosplay. Because in my mind, I think I was like, well, I'm never going to be that. And so, it was all these like insecurities. And cosplay helped me get over that because when I like became a part of the community, like everyone is so nice and loving and like it doesn't matter what anyone looks like. Everyone's just together. And I think that just helped me like settle down, and age helps too, because you get more secure with age.
Definitely.
Whereas now I would be mortified if I had that thought in my head. Like we have so many like even like sex worker friends, and I'm like, that's not for me, but you get out there, girl, you do it. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely comes with age. Our if anyone tells you that your 30s are like when your life ends, they're lying. We're like well, you're not 30 yet, but you're almost there.
I'm excited, honestly.
It's you feel so much more secure, and like cosplay has definitely helped too. It's like age, cosplay, like seeing my friends, like making friends who do like sexy cosplay or do like sex work or modeling or anything like that. Having friends that do that just it like turned everything around. It's just like once I saw like, oh, my friend is doing this. Okay. It was just like a weird like thing that clicked into my head and was suddenly like, wow, why was I thinking about that? Like, I don't know. It's just a really strange thing that happens. And I don't know if every other teenager was like that when they were younger.
I think a lot probably were. I know one thing for me was learning to support other women. So like, even though I still had those insecurities for myself, early on in my like dabble in the cosplay community, I learned to like look at a girl I thought was gorgeous. Maybe she was like in a half naked cosplay, whatever. Yeah. But to like look at her and be like, you just look so beautiful. And to verbalize that and realize that took nothing away from me. Yeah. Like really, that's kind of one of the reasons I started the Cos Ladies community, a group on Facebook a few years ago. Just because I kind of felt like I had, even though I never bullied anyone or harassed anyone for my insecurities, but it was so caught up inside of me that like making that group was kind of like my, like, this is my apology song. Aww. Ladies all together. I want to support all of you.
I know. Cause it's like such a horrible feeling. Like thinking like back. That you would ever think that. But I love that like women are just being so supportive of each other these days. Yes. Cause I don't know if, I guess that the atmosphere just wasn't the same. Like when we were in college, it's like, it was nowhere near the same that it is now. And it's just, I don't know, it's like such a relief seeing women just like telling each other that they look hot or whatever. That's like the best compliment. Like a woman telling you that you look like really pretty and stuff. Like I just really, really value those compliments. And I don't know.
Same.
Give them to people. And it's just really, really nice just having a party with all of the women supporters. I don't know, like we just all support each other and love each other's work, like genuinely. There's no like weird like ulterior motives. You just want to show everyone that you are supporting what they do.
I also, for me, I've always struggled with like my body, like body dysmorphia, whatever, but my body shape in general, like I mentioned earlier, my wide hips, I like hate it. Like I thought my body shape was wrong. And then I got to enter this world where I've gotten to see most of my cosplay girls half naked. Yeah. And that allowed me to see so many different body types. And I can't tell you what that's done for my like body dysmorphia. Like I didn't know hip dips were a thing. I thought I was the only person in the world who had them.
Me too.
I hated them and it made me want to die. Yeah. And then I saw all these girls on Instagram like showing off their hip dips with similar body shapes to mine. And I was just like, oh, I love it. And if we didn't support the women who do what we do now, but get out there and show it all off. Like, we wouldn't know. Like that's helped me seeing them. That's what annoys me too, is when people are like, well, they don't really do it for like, confidence. They do. Yeah, they do. They're inspiring me.
Yeah. Like if you can inspire one person to feel better about themselves, then I feel like that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Like there's not one body. There's thousands of them. And so how can anyone be wrong? That's what it taught me. Like mine can't be wrong because no one else's are the same.
Yeah. Which is it's good. Because I don't know, like I guess we've all like disliked things about ourselves. Like I used to hate my eyebrows because they were arched and I didn't want to have angry eyebrows.
Oh, I love that.
I wanted straight brows like Daenerys. And I used to like try to draw my eyebrows on straight. I hated my lip shape. I didn't like that I had a smaller upper lip and like pointy, like pointier upper lip.
Always wanted that. I love that.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just wanted like the big full lips and stuff. And this is another story for another time. But like seeing all the different like shapes of women's faces and lips and stuff. And like, like seeing something similar to yourself in someone that people really admire and look up to and who you admire and look up to is just like, it's really reassuring and it makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I still feel bad about myself sometimes, but
feels,
that's, I think that's just life.
It helps to see these beautiful women online flaunting what they got. Yeah. I like it. It's helped me a lot.
So I guess on a note of things that we had to kind of go through. Is there a thing that you were super afraid of before you started cosplaying?
Oh my gosh, I could not public speak at all. I couldn't speak to like more than like one person at a time. So I took a public speaking class in college and I wrote it, and I had the like my first ever and worst panic attack before getting up there. But the teacher was like in my like not in my face, but like, come on, get up there. And I embarrassed myself so bad. Like stage fright, just could not do it. And then with cosplay, a few years later, like you have to do panels. And so I did my first panel. I was with a group of people and I was really nervous, but it went well. And like, I just remember telling myself, like, I want to be able to do this. So I'm going to do this. And so I kept doing panels, even though I hated them initially. And now, like, I love it. Now I don't even think about it. Like, I can just talk. And like when we were at Tokyo and Tulsa, that crowd was so huge. And they had April and I up on stage with mics. And I think we were both super chill. Like, I don't know if that's something you ever struggled with, but for me, that is a different Sophie. Like, and it's so cool to like feel that.
That's cool.
What about you?
Probably the same. I mean, I'm still, if you put me up in a panel by myself, I'll just bomb.
Just talk about cheese.
The worst. Yeah, that's true. I'm really bad. I'm a really good like wingman still. Like I'm a lot better at speaking. Obviously, I'm choosing to, speak for over an hour to a microphone. But I was always really, really shy growing up. I was very shy, quiet. I was like the quiet one or whatever, which was loads of fun. But I was just, I don't know. I just never knew what to say. I never knew like how to talk to people unless I was with like some of my close friends. Like I did really well with like 2-on-1 kind of like I always had like 2 best friends. Like I still have my 2 best friends from when I was a child, but I always did best with 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
And I still think I do. I still think that's like my prime if I have like 2 or 3 people with me. Or no, I guess 1 or 2. I don't know. But I don't know. I've gotten way, way better at kind of articulating my thoughts. I've always been really bad, like going back to the high school thing. I was really bad at articulating what I was thinking. I don't know. And like with the insecurity thing, like I couldn't realize that the way that I was feeling was because I was feeling insecure. Like I just didn't have the mental capacity to figure that out.
Yeah.
And cosplay, it's kind of taught me that I can, I guess, overcome some of those things.
I think it also teaches you not to take yourself too seriously, because it's like the reason I was afraid to speak to crowds, even though like I'm a natural like extrovert, like I love groups of people, but I couldn't just stand alone and speak because like the fear of making a mistake and people laughing at me.
Yeah.
Whereas like cosplay, you're in crazy costumes all the time. And at some point, I think I just got over that. Like if I'm doing a panel and I say something silly or I make a mistake or trip over my words, like we're just going to keep going. Like in my head, I'm just like, that's fine, or you call attention to it in a way that makes it funny and you own it.
Right.
Like being able to do that now instead of like my whole world is going to fall apart because I said it instead of she.
Yeah. Yeah. I think owning your missteps and mistakes, and I think is really important.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh no, what are they thinking about? I mean, I still kind of do that. Like if I make a blunder, like I've made blunders at cosplayers.
Oh yes.
That I admire, and it's so embarrassing.
There's a couple of those that still haunt me.
Me too.
10,000%.
Oh my gosh. Last year at C2E too, I was just like,
yeah.
No, I'm horrendous. I'm a horrendous person.
A couple of those happened this year. But the funny thing is, like, I probably no one really even noticed yours, but it's in your head. Same with mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's stuck in your head.
I hope they didn't notice.
I hope not.
Because it was really, afterwards, I was just like, why would I say that? That was the worst thing I could have said. It made me look so dumb.
Oh, we should do a whole episode of those.
Ooh, I have some stories.
Doozies.
Oh my gosh. That's probably it. The, like, being in front of people.
Yeah.
Is there, when you were first starting your like cosplay journey I guess when you were starting your business too, were there any like hurdles / roadblocks that you had to kind of go around or whatever in order to kind of get done what you wanted?
I think I was my own biggest, I'm like so naturally like misorganized or unorganized and just like, I don't know. I don't want to say a mess. I was more than now, but like you have to be organized to run a business. You have to make sure your money's organized and what you're doing is organized. And you just have to be a organized person in general. Whereas I have always been the complete opposite of that. And so I think that was my my biggest hurdle was learning, like, if I want to do this full time and use my money in a good way and like put it back into the business to make more cosplays as well as saving some and getting stuff I needed, like I had to become organized. And that was incredibly difficult for me. Like I can't tell you how many bullet journals I made. I would watch April make hers and be like, I'm going to do that too. No. And I finally had to come to a point where I got everything I needed to get organized, but like I realized like I'm still me. Like I'm not April. I'm not like our friend Sis is very organized in terms of that stuff. Like it's okay for me to be me as long as my business is organized and I have all the right things in the right place. I don't need a bullet journal. I think I overshot. I got too like everything must be organized, but that's not who I am. So I got my business organized and that's in a nice little neat pile. And the rest of my life is a little bit haywire, but that's okay because now it's all manageable.
It works for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have different brains and all of our brains like process things differently.
Yeah.
And it might just feel super unnatural for you to have to write everything down.
It does. So I like making lists on like whiteboards because they're right there for me to look at.
Yeah.
But like, I won't keep up with like a bullet journal. Like I'll do a few days, like, yeah, I did it. And then after that, it's like, nah, it's not. And I have lists on my phone and my lists are a little chaotic, but to me, those make sense. And it's okay if those are chaotic as long as like my finances and my cosplays are in order.
Yeah. If it makes sense to your brain, then it works out.
I think I was trying too hard to be other people.
Yeah. I think
what about you? What's your hurdle?
Mine, I'm a massive perfectionist, but also a massive procrastinator.
I'm also a procrastinator.
Oh my gosh. Those
So you're like opposite on that. And then we come together with the procrastination.
It's like the worst. I don't know. I don't understand like why my brain does what it does. Cause it's like, I don't want to do, and I also have like fears of doing something because I want it to turn out perfect. I don't want to do something and have it not turn out perfect. Like even when I was younger, like I don't know, like I just didn't want to practice anything. Like I wanted to be instantly good at stuff. I wonder if it was because people told me I was good at stuff back then. And I was just like, I'm so good at drawing. I want to be good at everything. That
was me too though. Because my parents would tell me I was good at everything. So I didn't want to practice.
Yeah.
Like I just want to do it and be good at it.
Yeah. Hated soccer practice. Hated dance practice, but I love the recitals.
Yep.
I don't know. But so it's kind of like an ongoing roadblock. I have to deal with that. I don't know. I still don't know how to deal with it. So there we go. It's a current roadblock.
I think it's great that you're a perfectionist though. Because that like for sure, like meeting you and watching like in terms of like cosplays, like your attention to detail, like that's helped me a lot because that's something that I was so caught up in just trying to learn like the basics that I never took time to even think about like the small details. And you helped me slow down and like take a minute and be like, what more does this need? What can I do to elevate this? Instead of just being like, hot glue it all together. Okay, I'm done. That really helped.
Well, I'm glad it's been beneficial. I mean, I think it can be beneficial for me too. Like, cause I really like the little teeny little things that nobody will notice, but I know that they're there.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like I've had to learn to kind of rein it in a little bit and be like, okay, this is going to be good enough. Cause I think I also kind of, I don't know, like I want to elevate my like craftsmanship and stuff. Cause like I see people that just make insane stuff, like super detailed embroidery, like little hand stitch details, blah, blah, beads, rhinestones, all that stuff. And I'm just like, I have to be perfect like they are because I want to be taken seriously in the craftsmanship world or whatever. They're not going to like me if I don't make good stuff. I don't know. But even though it's probably just my brain being mean again. But it just kind of, it's a drive in a way, but in a way it's just like, well, I'm never going to be like that. So maybe I should just put it off and procrastinate or something like that. And so it's just kind of like an ongoing thing in my brain where I have to kind of like rein myself in, like take it down a notch a little bit, just kind of like chill out. It's like, I want to be chill, but I also am like super detailed, just like, I don't know, I just want to get everything perfect. But then I also just want to sit.
Yeah. I worry about that. That comes into mind when I'm making, I have to stop my brain when I'm making, like right now I'm working on the Vigar armor and I just get so like, will the craftsmanship community like, no, they'll notice the, like the smallest little things.
I think about that too.
And I have to like, just take a breath and be like, as long as at the end, I feel like I have done better than like every cosplay, I want to be better than the last. As long as it's better than the last, then I should be proud. Like that's kind of, you know what I mean? Like
not comparing yourself to people. And also if somebody doesn't like you because you don't have enough top stitching, then that's their problem.
Yes.
Like that's the thing I have to remind myself. Like if somebody looks down upon me because they don't think my stuff is good, like instead of just like getting to know me as a person, I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
I guess that's not my issue.
I think there's a whole nother episode that we could do on craftsmanship versus like cosplay modeling.
Yeah.
And
because
like,
we're in kind of a
the
unique situation. We have like a foot in both pools.
It's like you can't
think that's a real saying.
Both, but you can't. A foot in both pools. I love that.
I don't know what the saying is.
Can that be the name of this episode?
A foot in both pools. That'll be the name of that episode.
Yes.
That'll get people to click on it, right?
What pools?
Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're kind of like this sort of riding. I'm trying to do another metaphor again, but it's not working. You know what I mean?
You're going to say ride or die.
I was going to say riding both fences. That doesn't make sense
That's
either.
another episode.
My gosh, just an episode of me making up metaphors. You know, it'll be really great.
I would watch that though.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so it's just,
we do a little bit of sexy stuff and we do a little bit of craftsmanship. It's like a jack of all trades.
It's okay to be in the middle. I feel like people get so caught up on like some of my followers will be like, oh, it's cool that you're a cosplay model. And others will mention craftsmanship, but it's very clear that they don't see me as in the middle.
There are two different audiences. It seems like there's like the people who want to look at models and the people that want to look at craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And it's hard because like, it seems like you have to choose one sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to, but it seems like the people who do choose one, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's almost like it's hard because a lot of the craftsmanship people don't like following. I mean, from what I've seen them type, like they aren't interested in content that's not cosplay focused or craftsmanship focused. And then like, I don't know exactly what the people that do mostly modeling like to follow. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
I think that's like a wider.
Yeah, it's hard because you can't have like a feed. Like, and I don't want to have like 20 Instagram accounts. Like,
yeah, no,
I don't want to have to grow that again.
It's also like Diva, like the Diva mech suit that you gave to me.
Yeah.
Like I have no interest in making Diva. It's not that I don't have the craftsmanship to do it. It's just that it would cost so much more. And it's just a fun little cosplay. Whereas like Vigar and Soren are costumes you can't buy anywhere.
Yeah.
I want to make them and I want to make the armor. And I just think that that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to be like, I don't think that's worth making for me. I wouldn't get enjoyment out of that.
I have costumes like that too. I'm trying to think of the last ones. I mean, obviously, I never used that Diva, but I have another Diva suit that I didn't make. But I don't know. Like we kind of just do a lot.
Like Julia and Faye. Like I started making Faye months ago and I genuinely was just really bored making, like I had no passion making that costume. And so why was I going to pour more money into making it when I could purchase one and then spend my time instead of stressing over that making like my Cyberpunk Android 18 that I really wanted to make.
Yeah.
Like, and they're still going to be cool. Those photos are going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think people will like them.
I think so too. And like when you put a finished photo out, like the finished photo, which is also frustrating in a way. Like the photos of the ones you buy sometimes get more attention than the ones you make. That's a whole other episode. Wow. We have lots of ideas.
Look at us brainstorming live.
So I think that's going to wrap it up for this origin story episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Got some tea on us now. So that's exciting to think about.
It did get a little dark for a minute there. I said it would get dark and it didn't.
Yes. So if you liked the episode, please give it 5 stars. If you didn't like it, just don't rate it.
But thanks for watching all the way through.
Thank you for listening. Anyway, giving us the attention. But yeah, so if you want to check us out on social media, I'm April Gloria on Facebook. Just search April Gloria in the search bar. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm _April Gloria. So what are your socials? Where can I find you? Or where can they find you? Because I already know where to find you.
I would hope so. OhMySophii on everything. OhMySophii, not IE and not IA. Sophie with 2 I's, no E.
No E, no A's.
Please.
Only I's.
Only I's. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch.
Basically everywhere.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
all the places. Don't go on my YouTube though. It's really sad. I'm going to fix that, I promise.
Yeah, both of us. We're trying to revamp next
Yeah.
year. But if you want early access to the episodes of this podcast, then be sure to subscribe to both of our Patreons.
Yes.
Not just one.
We're going to split up our
Both.
voices so you can only hear April's audio on hers and mine on mine.
You got to download both. But yeah, if you want to support us on Patreon, join our communities, get early access to things like photo shoots and videos and podcast episodes, things like that, then mine is patreon.com/April Gloria. Very easy.
Mine is patreon.com/OhMySophii.
Awesome. Yay. So thanks everyone for listening. We look forward to chatting again very, very soon. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.